been homeschooling for 17 years, which makes me about 170 years old in homeschool years, for which I think I look great, considering I'm 170 years old. My older two kids graduated from our homeschool in 2006. I have one student left, so I'm an empty nester of two. My youngest is a junior in high school this year, so I have been at this for quite a while. And I had to become a student of my kids. It's not really what I wanted to do. My kids made me be a better teacher than I wanted to have to be, but what I was doing wasn't working, so I had to step back and learn as much as I could from them. My husband, Mr. Boring, is up here. Wave to the people, Scott. He is the most fun person you could ever meet, so if you want to talk to him. We also have a booth here. It's number 456, 457. It's the Heads Up booth. And you can also contact us through the website headsupnow.com. And I encourage you to go there and look at the blog that I write, because I do additional tips and strategies on the blog that we can't fit into just an hour-long presentation. Scott also put in some sound effects as the slides transition, so little applause there. Thank you, Scott. When Scott was diagnosed, we were in our 30s, and Josh was 6 years old already, and I had diagnosed him at age 5, but I didn't have the right credentials to make it official. So officially, by age 6, I knew that I was dealing with some struggles with Josh. So I started reading up on it to educate myself, and then I saw how it manifests in adult, and I realized the nut didn't fall far from the tree. They're very smart, but I see some of where it came from. So when we look at my friend Calvin here, the little cartoon guy, he has a lot of learning challenges and is a challenge to his teacher, so I thought a picture of him would be good to show you as we go into this presentation. This is an older picture of my children. Did you hear that applause that Scott included? He's so proud. Josh is now 22 years old, and you can actually meet him this weekend at the Heads Up booth, or sometimes he pops into my workshops. He likes to reminisce about some of his escapades from younger years. Beth is now 21 years old. She's a senior at Ohio State University. Interestingly, Becky at 17, these two are the two that have the ADHD, auditory processing, and sensory integration difficulties. Beth is a special education major. She may go into occupational therapy, but she grew up seeing kids who struggled and developed a real heart for them. And she loves special needs kids and struggling learners, and she's going to be great, whether she's a teacher or an OT. She's going to do wonderfully. She's already years ahead of experience just seeing that in the kids who came to my house for speech therapy. I want to mention before I forget that I am doing a third workshop today during session number 3 that is not listed in the program. Some of you may know that Christine Field was unable to make it. She had a family emergency. So I am sticking one of my workshops in her slot to have something to offer those of you with struggling learners. And this afternoon, during the third workshop session, I will be presenting on sensory integration difficulties. So if you have a child who's a very picky eater, is bothered by tags in the clothing, seams on the socks, seems hypersensitive to smell, sound, sights, those kinds of things, that's what workshop number 3 is going to be, and it'll be in room 120, the same room that Christine would have been in had she been here. If you've missed Christine, I also want to point out in the back of your program, you can find her email and her website. So you can still contact Christine, and her book, Homeschooling the Challenging Child, is available to look at too. So I'll mention that before I forget. Now, if you have a struggling learner who needs some adaptations, you may also have kids who don't. And those kids may feel left out because your struggling learner gets a lot of attention. They need a lot of attention. But you might start hearing, well, why do they get all the special tools and all the extra time and I don't? And I know my daughter Beth felt that way. And kids seem to be born with this innate sense of what is fair. And it didn't seem fair sometimes to Beth that her siblings got the extra tools and helps. And I worked on the mindset there to teach them that fair is giving you what you need when you need it. And I encourage you to talk to your kids this way so they don't feel sorry for themselves. And I would look at Beth and think, things are pretty easy for you, nobody's going to feel sorry for you because you're typical, because you're average, you're working away. But fair is giving you what you need when you need it. So when one child needs glasses, you don't put glasses on all of them. One child needs braces, they don't all get braces. So if treating them as if they were the same is what fair is, it sounds very unfair. So I would say, you know, Beth, you have a harder time with math, so I spend more time with you on math. Your brother really struggles with spelling, so I'm spending more time with him in that area. It's fair because I'm giving you what you need when you need it. I'm not holding you back, and I'm not pushing you ahead too fast. I'm giving you what you need when you need it. That's what fair is. And that's the kind of definition we need to help to keep that balance in our family. I also made sure I spent time with my non-struggling learner outside of school. It didn't happen in school. School was taken up by the struggling learners. But outside of school time, this is the one, if I was running an errand, hey Beth, you want to come? She always said yes. We had the best conversations. I took her out specifically, one-on-one. Let's go get some hot chocolate someplace. We'll sit and talk, just the two of us. And since we are the only non-ADD members of the family, we can commiserate. Now, when her room started getting messy, I'd say, please don't go to the dark side. Please, honey, please. Don't leave me. Then when she moved into the dorm, I was like, you left me with them. Please come and visit, but know that it won't look the same as it did when you left. Unfortunately, she's turned out to be a big clutterer now that she's only in and out and so busy. If you follow along on your handout, does everybody have a handout? Because we have extras if you need it. Okay, good. You'll see we're going to talk about the learner's approach to learning. Now, this isn't just learning styles. There's a lot of information out there on figuring out, is your child an auditory learner, a visual learner, a tactile kinesthetic learner? If you're not sure yet what your child's learning style is, I encourage you to go to this website, howtolearn.com. Howtolearn.com has a free learning styles inventory that you can take. And it will tell you this percent visual, this percent auditory, this percent tactile kinesthetic. And you can see if you're blending, if you have predominantly one, and your child can take it. I encourage you to take it too if you're not familiar with your own, because we tend to teach the way that we learn best, and that's not always a match with our kids. Even the approach to learning can be a mismatch, and that's a lot of what I'm going to cover today, is how do you tell if your kid approaches learning in a very different way than you do? Or if your child learns the way you do, let's take advantage of that and use that even more. The website again was howtolearn.com. There's also a lot of information on the site, some of it free to read. There's a lot of things for sale on there too, so you'll have to kind of peruse through on your own, but the Learning Styles Inventory is a free one. Now, as you think about learning, think about how you learn, because again, we tend to teach the way that we learn. And first, I want to talk about the big picture learner. Sometimes these learners are referred to as right brain learners. These are the kids who get the gist. I'm going to back up a couple inches from the mic, and you tell me if you can still hear me. Can you still hear me just as well? No. Okay. I'm leaning forward with great anticipation, I guess, to see your reaction to everything I say. I'll be on the edge of my podium with you. The big picture learner approaches assignments wanting to know the bottom line. These are the, why do I need to know this? When will I ever use this? I hope you can come up with an answer, but one of the best responses I heard for the higher level math, because two of my kids were strugglers in math, and why do I need to know this, was on the Dive CD that goes with the Saxon math. There's an intro at the beginning, and he explains math helps you learn to think, it helps you learn to be logic, it helps you learn to solve problems. You will be doing that all your life. So math is training your mind to do that. I thought that is great. That applies to so many things. It's teaching you how to think. It's teaching you how to manage your time. It's teaching you how to solve problems. And then, of course, you'll get the, Mom, do you ever use algebra? Well, I do actually sometimes. But, you know, it's nice to have that option if you do need it, to have learned it. And it's training you.